This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Rateliff Show.
The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mall Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
There's a crisis in our schools, whether public or private, that's reaching epidemic proportions. Teachers and school employees are becoming sexually involved with students. Leading researchers cite a culture of sexual permissiveness as a primary cause. A better way to say it is we've rejected God's standards of sexuality and normalized sexual sin. The solution is to teach God's ways. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
Hello and welcome to the Zach Rateliff Show. I'm Zach. I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad you're with me. And thank God for another day. It's beautiful outside as I look outside this window and a little bit cool this morning. May, and it's chilly. It was chilly last night when the rain blew in. But that's all right. I'm glad for it, and I'm glad to, like I said, to be with you. Let's get into it. We're just going to do a rapid fire news today, and had some great guests on the last episode. Have another one I'm recording with today, and then probably tomorrow. And anyway, so got some good episodes coming up, but this one will be good as well. As we're just gonna go through some of these news articles and see what's happening. Let's keep everybody updated. First of all, I don't have an article on this. I've just been seeing it start to happen. They're starting to talk about this cruise ship, right, with this new virus, and it's killed 2 people, and that's not good. We don't want anybody to die from, but don't let them run the same play on us, okay? Let's don't let everybody get everybody all ginned up to lock us down, and oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. I already saw it reported. This is going to be worse than the Spanish flu. This is the worst thing to ever, just like it was 6 years ago, right? Everybody go home and stay home and keep to yourselves. The world order is not going to give up in trying to bring America into submission. And look, that's just my opinion, but it is called the Zach Rateliff Show, so you get my opinion. The powers that be want to control us. Well, their oil, and now we're free from the oil monopoly that there was. I know gas prices are up right now. They're going to come down by the end of summer. You'll see that start to happen. It already dropped massively in the last few days. All the levers of power that the elites have held over us through traditional means are starting to go away. So what do? Go back to the old playbook. You have to remember, these people have no new ideas. They just have to use the same ones over and over and over. That's why you're a racist, homophobe, bigot, or whatever, because they know those are impactful statements that people don't want to be called. Right? So it's going to be the same thing with this virus. We have to do this for the greater good. Well, let's see. I'm not falling for it. I didn't necessarily fall for it last time. Just our government did, and we allowed them to. And we just have to make sure we're aware of that, going in like, no. If somebody's sick, they can stay home. Other than that, we keep going. We're going to keep living. We're going to keep doing our thing. We're going to keep producing. But this is just another lever of power they're trying to expand. And look, I hadn't seen a whole lot on it, but it's coming. So let's just be aware of that as you start hearing about this cruise ship. And all the problems. Look, our greatest hope is in Jesus Christ. So let's just start with that. And look, doesn't mean that you won't have hardships. Doesn't mean people won't talk about you. Doesn't mean you won't get sick. But it means you're healed through him. Either this life or the next, right? So anyway, all right, let's jump into some of these. Speaking of Jesus Christ, this is awesome. Yesterday, Donald Trump, which would have been Wednesday, he comes out and he quotes Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. No wonder they hate this guy. He is unashamed to come out and quote scripture. He's unashamed to, and then you get people like, well, he ain't a real Christian. Well, who said? How do you know his heart? The only person I 100% know if they 100% believe in Jesus and love him is me. Other than that, I don't know if anybody's a real Christian. I have to believe from their fruits and from their actions and from their words what they say, or don't believe based on all those same evidences. I so love that we have a president that's he doesn't care what you say. He doesn't care what you think. He gets up and he says, hey, we are not to fear. God says, I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Well, of course the world hates him. The Bible's very clear that the world's going to hate us if we're Christians. The world's going to talk about us if we're Christians. The world's going to be hard on us if we're Christians. Look at how, the original 12 went down, right? I mean, it wasn't pretty in the end for them, but they knew there was a greater reward on the other side. Being a Christian isn't the easy button. And in a lot of places, it takes a lot more courage to be one than it does here. But still, you get mocked, you get made fun of, but it's okay because of Jesus. So anyway, God bless Donald Trump, and I just pray that he continues to be protected, and because he's fighting for what he believes is right for us in the eyes of God, and that's what I believe. Now, do I believe he's perfect? No. Do I believe I'm perfect? No. There's only been one perfect person ever, and we murdered him for it. Luckily, he was God. He got up on the third day, hung around on earth for another 40 days, and then ascended into heaven. That was Jesus Christ. All right, let's go. This is from Gunther Eagleman and Fox News. It says, let's go. Trump's new Boeing 747 Air Force One gift from Qatar is going to be ready. 4th of July. They're putting the paint on it. They've got the security measures installed. This is cool. They weren't able to get the other one made in time, and it was dragging and lagging. And so we're about to get a new Air Force One. I think that's cool just to see these countries playing ball with us. I know there are those of you out there that are like, oh, I can't believe we'd take gifts from a foreign country. Hey, this is the way it works. Our guys went in, stripped it down, made it something probably different than what they gave us for sure. But let's go. I like to see us winning on every level. This from DK on X.com. That's at 1NICDAR. The Democrats are upset that we spent approximately $30 billion bombing Iran. And I'm not going to say that's not a little bit of money. And it says, he goes on to say, they're saying that the money should have been used to fund health care. Then they go on to say, I wonder why they didn't fund health care with the $182 billion they gave to Ukraine during the Biden regime. That's exactly right. It only matters when the Democrats get mad about it. But I'll tell you this is what I want. I want my money back. The government wastes our money in every way. Yeah, I don't like all the money we're spending, but right now I at least feel like, hey, this was needed with Ukraine. I hadn't, Vladimir Zelensky's a thug and a crook and a mobster. So, and that was just protecting certain special interests over there that had ties in all the operations, from the weapons manufacturing to the virus manufacturing to the, all of that's in Ukraine. A lot of politicians got paid from that $182 billion. So, we'll see. Hopefully some of that comes out. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. Going back to Fox News and multiple reports, Gunther Engelman, FBI raids hit Democrat swamp in Virginia. The FBI conducted 10 raids across Virginia targeting influential Democrat Senate President Pro Tem Louise Lucas and her inner circle. Look, there's been so much fraud, and right now the Democrats are on the fall for it. Look, there are going to be some Republicans that get taken out too. I'm for getting everyone who's stolen from us. Like I said, I want my money back. They just take and take and take and take. Look, if you're in the top tax bracket, and I say this all the time, but we're getting new listeners all the time. So anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for being part of the show. I appreciate you. If you're in the top tax bracket, you're paying 60% or more of every dollar that you make in taxes. Oh, Zach, that's not the top tax bracket. I know. But then you've got property tax. Then you've got sales tax, and you have to license your vehicle, and you have to get a driver's license. Then you have to buy a hunting license or a fishing. Or you don't have to. You just stay at home and not do anything. Then you get a fishing license, and then you register your boat, or or whatever. All these other, there's sales tax. There's 40 cents of every gallon of gas you buy in our area between state and federal taxes is taxed. 40 cents a gallon. Oh my gosh, gas prices are so high, but we're still going to tax you 40 cents a gallon. 60% of everything you make, if you're the top tax bracket, 60% of every dollar goes to taxes. But you don't pay enough. Yeah, but it's been funding all this fraud. So I'm glad to see the FBI taking action. I'm glad to see this fraud getting exposed. I know I've got some more articles on that. We'll kind of go back and forth. As you know, the way I do these articles is I just text them to myself. Then I go back through them in reverse. And so that's where we'll be. Trump just forced Iran to surrender on nukes. President Trump announces that Iran agreed to being completely barred from producing nuclear weapons. And they've also agreed for us to come taking possession of the uranium stockpile. I think there's something in that. There's a reason he wants that uranium. So we'll see what it tests out. I think we'll be able to see the origins of that uranium through the way that they test it. Look, obviously we're going to have it's easy for them to say, oh yeah, we'll stop all that and then never let any inspectors in, right? That's been the play for my entire life. Oh yeah, we'll do that, but no, the UN can't come in. Well, we're not asking the UN to come in. We're coming in. First of all, I'm all for defunding the UN. Just another grift, just another way that they fund NGOs, governmental organizations, through our tax dollars to work against us. But let's go. Let's get this. Let's get this material. Let's shut Iran down. Let's get this strait back opened up, which is happening. Let's rock and roll, baby. I'm ready. It's summer. We're going to need to be putting some gas and some toys, and that's all about to happen. And then that was after the fact that it's yesterday the U.S. military struck another Iranian oil ship, tried to run through the strait. We told you you're not doing any business, so we went and hit it, and CENTCOM, after the crew failed to comply with repeated warnings, U.S. forces disabled the tanker's rudder by firing several rounds from the cannon, a 20-millimeter cannon of a U.S. Navy F-18, and it's no longer transiting. Yeah, we didn't blow up the whole ship. We didn't waste all the oil. We just took out its ability to navigate. Then we went and got it, I'm sure. That's what's been happening. Strength breeds peace. Weakness breeds chaos. That's what I said during the whole Biden time. That's what I'm saying now. I want the lion to lay with the lamb, and in that event, I want to be the lion. Right? Strength in words, strength in actions, strength in character is what you're seeing here. The whole world is against Donald Trump right now, and especially our leftist media. The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mull Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
There's a crisis in our schools, whether public or private, that's reaching epidemic proportions. Teachers and school employees are becoming sexually involved with students. Leading researchers cite a culture of sexual permissiveness as a primary cause. A better way to say it is we've rejected God's standards of sexuality and normalized sexual sin. The solution is to teach God's ways. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
But he's making stuff. Look, he's doing things that are going to affect not just me, but my daughter and your daughter and son and their kids. Making big changes. So anyway, good for our military. We have the best military in the world. And there we go. And then the article before that, said, hey, Iran just put its nuclear program on the table because we've crippled them economically. They're not selling any oil. Their oil fields are backing up. This is a problem. They have to have a way to operate. Whereas, everybody, Trump's so chaotic. Trump's so chaotic. First we go get Maduro. Then we get the Venezuelan oil back online, which Venezuela's making all kinds of money now. It's not that we're not just stealing it and not paying them. They're making money in Venezuela again. They're starting to live a good life again in Venezuela. You're welcome. As Maui said, you're welcome. Okay, so then we cut off that part of China's oil. Then we go to Iran. Then we cut off that part of China's oil. Well, why does that matter? Because China is our enemy. They want to end us. They've tried to surround us. Before we went to Venezuela, remember, we had to go into Panama and stop the Chinese overtaking of Panama and the Panama Canal. Why did they want to do that? So they could shut off our trade from east to west. So we got the canal back. We got Venezuela. We're changing the flow of oil. Iran then attacks the Saudis and the UAE. So now they're like, hey, we can't be with these people. They attacked us. The world order is changing. We just have to have enough patience and gumption about us to stick it out. Luckily, we have a president that has that. This says rhinos in the Deep South just got a brutal wake-up call. This is once again from Gunther Engelman and from Fox News. But we know we don't call them rhinos anymore. The Democratic wing of the Republican Party just got a brutal wake-up call. It says, after Indiana's massive shellacking, and here's what happened in Indiana. All the representatives that went against the redistricting and that ran opposite of Trump in the primary, they lost. Oh, MAGA's over, Trump's out. Look, MAGA it's not the Donald Trump party. It's we now have the courage to make the changes that we need to go get people that will implement our views. That's what this is. We have to keep the pressure on. We can't give up because it's easy, right? You got to take a little Susie to dance, a little Johnny to soccer or baseball, and you gotta get the yard mowed, and you gotta worry about if the boss is gonna say something crazy, and you gotta deal with nagging Nancy in the cubicle beside you, and you got to pay $4 a gallon right now for gas, and if you're driving a diesel, it's $5, and but oh man, I got to figure out a way to take my family on vacation. Right, the pressures of society. I gotta show up for small group on Wednesday at my church. Hey, Jesus said, "Don't worry." First of all, give it to Him. But I understand those pressures just make you think, I don't have time to worry about Iran. I don't have time to think about the fraud in Minnesota. I don't have time to worry about the fact that they let the Palisades in California burn down and that Gavin Newsom pocketed a lot of the NGO money. I don't have time to fill my mind with all that. Well, don't worry, you got your boy Zach here. We're going to talk about it. But we at least have to be cognizant of what's going on around us. And so, anyway, the massive wake-up says every rhino, once again, every Democrat member of the Republican Party in Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Georgia is now on notice. He goes on to say you should redraw those racial gerrymander maps and eliminate the fake blue seats. Because we just saw that lost in Louisiana. Go ahead, Supreme Court. If we want everybody to be equal, let's be equal. If we want everybody to have the same opportunity, let's have the same opportunity. There's a car smoking at the gas station across the street from me, and it's very worrisome. And I just hope it's far enough away from the gas pump. I'll keep you updated. In the event that you hear a big boom, we'll know what happened. Sorry, I also get distracted. That's why I sit in the front row at church, because I will be counting ceiling tiles if I don't. Scott Jennings, if you're not paying attention to him on CNN, man, you should do that. I know it's hard to watch the Communist News Network, but Scott Jennings has some good stuff over there. But this is from Gunther Engelman again. He says, Scott Jennings just dropped truth bombs in Indiana. Prove it. It says, MAGA is unstoppable and completely running the show. And Scott then goes on to say, go against Trump in a primary and you get absolutely ground up. And that's exactly what happened in Indiana. Yep, that's what we just talked about. And here's the deal. Mike Pence was the one working against him. Well, we already know Mike Pence was working against Trump in his first administration. We know who Mike Pence is. No one should be surprised that Mike Pence was working against him in this. Goodness. Here's something crazy. And I like the name of this account on X.com. It's from Grandpa's Free Advice on X.com. Now, my grandpa had a lot of free advice. And most of it was worth hearing, if not all of it. But here it is. Minnesota Democrats have gone wild. Every single Minnesota Democrat just voted against removing dead people from the state's voter rolls. Why? What does it matter if they're dead? How does that protect democracy by not getting rid of the dead people? Why do you need them on the voter rolls? Well, why don't you? So they can't vote. I had a family member here a couple of years ago that went to vote, and maybe it was 2020, and they're like, oh, you've already voted. He goes, no, I have not. They're like, yes, you have. He said, I know if I voted. I haven't voted. That's right here in Bowie County, Texas. You don't think that happens? I mean, it's been proven that it happens. Oh, there's no voter fraud. There's no voter fraud. Well, there's SNAP fraud. I think I've got an article coming up on this. There's fraud and all these other things. So why wouldn't we think there's voter fraud? Of course there's voter fraud. Let's just take one more way for them to do it away. Don't let dead people vote. Well, dead people can't vote. Yeah, they really can if they're not on the voter roll. That's the only reason you would want to keep them on there. Maybe I'm just crazy, though. Okay, have you all heard about this? This is from Representative Keith Self about this kill switch that's going to be required in cars starting next year. So maybe next model year, which would be this year. The kill switch was pitched to Congress as a way to stop drunk driving, but its real-world implications are far more troubling. No government should have the authority to remotely control a vehicle you paid for or turn it into a tool of surveillance. So basically what it's going to do, all these cars have sensors and all this watching you now. Everything does. We're being watched. We're, 1984, hello, Big Brother. It's where we are. But so if you get in and your eyes are dilated or you look drunk or high or tired or whatever, it's just not going to let you drive. Which, okay, on the surface, I'm okay with that. Other than freedom. but for really, let's say, there was a time we were hunting down at our deer lease, right? And one of our dogs got injured. Well, I was worried. This was my dog, right? And so it was a hunting dog. I understand that's part of it, but it was still, I was worried. And so I was going to rush it back to the vet. I'm sure my face, by the time, this was 30 years ago. I know, 20 years ago. By the time I ran back to the truck, got the truck, my dad met me with the dog. I'm worried, rushing. I'm sure my face showed some features that would show me in distress. What if I hadn't been able to get that dog to the vet? That's what would have happened. Or let's say you're a farmer and something happens and you're out. Look, because here's the reality. especially like where I am in Texarkana. We're a rural area. There are 100,000 people in our county. There's a lot of us hanging out in places that you don't have cell phone signal. You're not 30 seconds from a hospital. But if your car won't let you start it because you look worried or shocked or something's different in your facial expression, that's a problem. So anyway, we all need to call your congressman, whoever that may be, and we need to put a stop to this. We did, however, affect the farm bill, by the way, that came out. There was a provision in it that was basically it wouldn't allow you to hunt with dogs anymore, which I just mentioned in that prior example. We hunt with dogs. We squirrel hunt a lot with dogs in my family. We like to kill squirrels. We like to eat squirrels, by the way. But we have dogs that tree them, and then we go shoot them, and then we eat them after we cook them, of course. But that being said, in the farm bill, it came out that, hey, they're going to take away hunting with dogs. Well, we've also hunted deer with dogs and hogs with dogs, and people have bird dogs. A common thought for some of you would be a Labrador Retriever, go and get ducks, but then you have pointers and just every other kind of dog, tracking dogs, right? Dogs are an animal that like to work. So anyway, I saw it on Facebook and people were trying to get it out there. So we sent it to our representative, his staff, that's Nathaniel Moran, the most responsive staff, governmental staff that I know. I texted them over. They did that. And then a lot of other people called it. I'm not taking credit for this, but I'm just trying to say that Nathaniel Moran's staff is always so responsive to what we've got going on that I just appreciate it dearly. But they said they would look into it. And then other congressmen said they would look into it, and that part of the farm bill got killed. So we can do the same thing with this kill switch for cars, is all I wanted to go. Oh, here's this on fraud. This is from C3 on X.com. There's Medicaid fraud, which has been proven, right, with all these Medicaid deals that are being raided. There's Medicaid fraud, but no voter fraud. There's welfare fraud, which we've now seen, but no voter fraud. There's daycare fraud, but we're told there's no voter fraud. There's hospice fraud, but no voter fraud. Well, how does that work? How can that be? Well, it can't be. Thank God, once again, for Elon Musk buying X. Net neutrality. That's what I was trying to come up with 2 weeks ago. And I was like, what was that thing where they were trying to basically take control of the internet? Net neutrality. Some of you will remember that. Some of you won't. That was the way they were going to get in to stop people from Elon Musk saying, oh, well, you have to have equal time for equal stories. No, you don't. Internet's free market, baby. And real ideas stick. Without him, we wouldn't have the information that we have now, because the politicians never saw us being able to communicate in such a way. They never saw us being able to share ideas in such a way. They never thought that we'd be able to run everything they're doing through artificial intelligence and be like, oh, here's all the ways you're being stolen from. If you own a business, you're paying so many taxes. And look, I'm okay with paying some taxes for roads and police and military and all that. I'm not saying not to. And I'm okay with helping people. However, the top 10% pay 60 or 70% of your time? No, maybe it's the top 1% pay 40% of the taxes. Top 10% pay 70% of the taxes. Like that's not fair. Everybody says fair. Well, that's not. And I understand life isn't fair. And here's this, rabbit hole. If everybody just paid 10% of what they made in taxes, it still wouldn't be fair. But it would at least be a same number that you know. Because if you make $1 million, your 10% is a lot higher than if you make $30,000. Right? But they can afford it more. Well, why? 10% is 10%, right? Anyway. Let's go. Let's continue on. Oh, this is once again about Indiana. I guess I was fired up about Indiana. I sent this to me a bunch of times. Here's some Democrat hypocrisy from Alec Lace on X.com. Democrats scream, eat the rich, but attend $100,000 a plate Met Gala. Democrats staged no king's protests, yet they gave a standing ovation to the King of England when he spoke in Congress. Democrats call Trump a Nazi for years, and they endorsed a guy who has a Nazi tattoo. That's happening right now. Donate to the SPLC, right? But then that turns around and gives money to the KKK to gin up racist crimes so that they have a reason to function. We can never forget what really facts matter. Once again, thanks to the internet, we're able to keep, and there's a lot of BS in the internet too, don't get me wrong. Oh, this is it. From Eric Doherty. And then from, I don't know what news network that is. But anyway, it says, wow, oil and gas companies are surging in Venezuela. What? 3 independent oil and gas companies just signed deals in Venezuela. There's a huge mining deal for coal, a huge mining deal for gold. Trump actually fixed Venezuela. That's exactly right. The Venezuelan people are going to be better off. Goodness. Let's see what else we've got before we get out of here. Oh, this is good. This is from Bad Hombre on X.com. AOC cost 25,000 people their jobs in Queens by opposing Amazon's project. Elizabeth Warren and Mayor Pete Buttigieg cost 17,000 people their jobs by opposing the JetBlue Spirit merger. Gavin Newsom cost 82,000 people their jobs by pushing Tesla, SpaceX, Oracle, Chevron, Planter, Charles Schwab, and HP out of California. Joe Biden and Kamala cost 11,000 people their jobs by shutting down construction on the XL pipeline. None of this was a mistake, he says. Bad Hombre says. It's a policy choice. Listen, that's exactly right. The elites and even some of the Republicans, right? Because let's don't count them out on this. They want us to solely depend on them so that we'll have to vote for them so that they can give us our circus, give us our bread, and control us. It's all about control. It's all about money, and it's all about power. And it's all about power, and it's all about money, and it's all about control. And that's what we have to remember. They want us on their social programs. They want us needing them. They want us begging and kissing their feet and saying, oh, you're such a big deal. You're so much smarter than me. You know so much more than me. Please, Overlord, give me my bread. That's what the elites want. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today. And we'll be back and do it all again tomorrow.